Pennsylvania 3 summer vacation, including Jim Gaffigan. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
I have here in my hand. This is Noble Ape is in theaters, correct?
It's in theaters. It's on demand. It's on iTunes, on Amazon, everywhere you rent or buy.
Okay, and in my hands, vinyl. Is this really vinyl, like an actual old
vinyl? Yes, this is vinyls are a big thing now.
Are they really?
People are really into vinyls. Some people collect them. I think in this age of digital, owning something that's you can physically hold, and then the Barry Blankenship was the artist that did all this stuff, and it's kind of this fun artistic thing.
It's a very Van Gogh looking Jim.
Yes,
Gaffigan
it is
right
very
there.
Van Gogh.
When I do only see one ear, actually.
You only see one ear.
Is that specific, or
it was just this strange idea. Some of it was my beard. I felt like the idea started kind of. I have a joke about looking like a Civil War general that's out of shape, and so this kind of shifted. But it eventually turned into Van Gogh.
Who did you have a vinyl comedy album from growing up? Who did you have on vinyl?
I was the youngest of 6 kids, so we didn't have much of anything. But I would listen to Steve Martin and Bill Cosby and, of course, Carlin.
Yeah.
So, I remember, just lifting up the needle, like the gentleness you had to place it down. And, you're a clumsy 8-year-old. You don't know what. I'm sure I ruined most of them.
I'm definitely going to date myself. And I know for a fact, Brockman, you're not going to know who the hell I'm talking about. I had Alan Sherman albums. Do you remember,
I've heard of Alan Sherman.
Hello, Mother, Hello, Father.
Yeah.
Here I am at Camp Granada.
Yeah.
I listened to Alan Sherman as a kid.
That's crazy.
On vinyl.
Yeah, I mean, well, some of it is also, I was the youngest of 6, so I have some, my brothers and sisters had albums that I don't know if I would have been aware of, like ELO and, some of these musicians that, that was their heyday, was the album.
And now you have 5 kids.
I have 5 kids.
They're not listening to squat on vinyl, right?
No, they're, it changes every 5 years. That's why this special was released everywhere, because how specials and comedy is consumed changes every couple of years. I know that everyone assumes Netflix. It's like I've been doing press and they're like, it's on Netflix. I'm like, no, this one's actually everywhere but Netflix. But it'll change in 3 years. I'll be back here and you'll be like, is it on this platform? Because it'll change.
Now, I know your kids travel with you, right?
Yes.
How the hell do you do that? How in the hell, Jim Gaffigan? Because they range from what, 5 to 13?
5 to 14.
Right? 14. How the hell do you do that?
It's insane. And
it is insane.
And there's plenty of moments where, like they're not with me now. And when I travel without my children, in between those moments of guilt are just hours of happiness, just joy and euphoria. But I usually construct tour dates where my family can come with me. Over Christmas, I did a bunch of shows in Florida. And then my family came down, and my wife's family also came down because they didn't want us to have a good time.
But I totally understand what you're saying, where there's guilt.
Yeah.
And then, for the first 24 hours, there's pure joy. Then you miss them.
Then there's guilt.
Then the guilt sets in.
Yeah.
So at what point does the guilt begin to dissipate and then the pure, unadulterated, constant joy sink into?
For me,
the kids, Jim.
Like, traveling, flying across the country, people complain about it. I'm like, that is the best. I get to sleep. I get to watch a movie. It's like a vacation.
It is a vacation.
It's amazing.
I just came off of a week of it's a trip, right? It's a vacation when you're not with your kids.
Right.
But I just came off a week-long trip with my wife. And I actually started the show with this on Monday in Washington, D.C. The most difficult thing of all time, in my mind, is attempting to get 3 children, you have 5, to take a photograph.
Oh, it's insane. Well,
do you have any advice for me on how to
I think it's all bribery, right? I had my kids. I brought 5 kids. I did shows in Europe to the Anne Frank house. I brought my 5, 7, 9, 12, and 14-year-old. 12 and 14-year-old understood. A 5 and a 7-year-old, they don't understand the seriousness, the sombering atmosphere of the Anne Frank house. Like my 7-year-old's like, do they have Wi-Fi here? And you're like, don't ask that at the Anne Frank house. You don't do that at the Anne Frank house. But it's, by the way, I should point out the Anne Frank house, I bought tickets online.
Mm-hmm.
I Googled it. The Anne Frank house has 4.4 out of 5 stars. Who is giving a bad review to the Anne Frank house? It's like, yeah, it was, I thought it was kind of boring. It was kind of crowded. You know, it's just insane.
It is insane.
It's insane.
I went to the Anne Frank house with my buddies. This is way before I was married with children and everything.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of doing the Heineken tour before it.
Oh my gosh.
You want to talk about instant sobering?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, you know, that was, I
mean,
that was just a great buzz from the Heineken tour. And then,
yeah, that'll cure a buzz, right?
well, maybe those are the people who didn't give it the 5 stars.
By the way, you know, we were talking about traveling with family.
Yes.
Otto Frank, with his family for 2 years, like he didn't get to leave.
No iPad either. No screen time.
It's so creepy. You can't even joke around about it. But,
I know.
But I'm trying to figure out a joke.
No, but no. Listen, there are certain ones where you just leave it there. But that's the whole thing with my 3 kids. Just they could not just sit still. Couldn't stand still for a
So
single
do you
minute.
have some pictures?
Well, you know what? Yes, I do. But then you have to delete the other 12 of the single just to get the one. You know, there's high class problems. I
Yeah,
understand, but- right.
I mean, what did our parents do? Because it's like ours is just digital. They didn't even know if it was a good picture back then. That's why Polaroids were so fascinating. You can actually see what it looks like.
Oh my gosh! And it all started with a conversation about a vinyl version of Noble Ape. What is this about? For those who may not know.
So this special it really encompasses the last year of my life, which has been insane. You know, last April it was discovered my wife had a brain tumor, and going through that experience, and then some traveling. And I mean, I love stand-up comedy. I feel like I keep getting better at it, and it's just kind of rewarding to kind of pull it together in a year.
How is your wife now?
She's great. I mean, she's 80% of her, which is, you know, a normal human's 120%. But it's an amazing journey. You know, we're very lucky. All of us right here are very lucky. I mean, there was, you know, a year ago I was sitting in a hospital, you know, or shuttling my wife to some doctor's appointment. It makes you really appreciate, you know, how we are.
And how you can now, you know,
now I can go around begging people to buy it.
You go begging the people to buy it, get it on the vinyl. Jim Gaffigan, Noble Ape, and then Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. I want to take a 60-second break, come back, and talk about your ESPYs experience.
Oh, sure.
And then, you know, inside information from Jim Gaffigan on Nick Foles' future.
Oh, yes. We'll figure it all out.
Back in 60 seconds. All right, welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. Another segment here with Jim Gaffigan. You can, again, check out Noble Ape and theaters or everywhere that's not Netflix, essentially, right?
Essentially.
Pretty much. You were on the stage at the ESPYs.
Yes.
Any good backstage stories? Anything good? What do you got for me?
It's
at the
pretty.
ESPYs?
I mean, I think it's the tallest group of people you'll ever be around, right? And obviously, everyone's in shape. My joke when I was on stage was like, they probably just had me there so that the curling guys could feel in shape. But it is. It's very impressive because these are also everyone at the top of their respective sports. So it was pretty intimidating, but also, you know, they're regular men and women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the end, they were excited to see Aaron Rodgers and, you know, all these other people. But I thought it was interesting. You know, Nick Foles was there. I presented for best performance in a championship game or series, and he won. And I handed. It's fascinating. Like, what does he go into next year? Right. So like.
Well, you don't have any information on that?
I don't, you know,
You didn't ask him?
No, I did not. I didn't feel like it was appropriate.
This was.
And I don't know if he would tell a comedian, you know, who talks about food and being lazy. I don't know if he'd be like, you know what? I guess I'll reveal this, even though like it probably is incredibly awkward, and everyone looks at him like, What about next year? What are you going to do? How's
Right.
the throwing arm of your teammate? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like, but what do you think? I think.
Yes.
Let me ask you, and then I'll answer.
Yes.
I think that in preseason, someone's going to have to step up and give a draft pick to get him.
Well,
right?
the Eagles, the last time they were in a situation, I guess, in a way similar to this, where Carson Wentz was on a roster and they had other quarterbacks, they were planning on starting the quarterback other than Carson Wentz, but that's because he was just fresh into the league.
Right.
Somebody else got hurt, and they traded away Sam Bradford, and the rest is kind of now history that Carson Wentz has become Carson Wentz. It's entirely possible in another situation like that crops up and they flip Nick Foles, but, I mean, Wentz's knee is still, in a brace, one would think.
It is.
So I don't know. I think they're going to definitely hold on to him. And it's possible he even starts the first game of the year, Nick Foles.
It's also one of those things where athletes can go through, like how you come back from an injury, like RG3. I mean, he came back too soon.
He definitely came back too soon.
And so, but some people, you are at a certain level, and it might be just physically you just can't get back to where you were. I mean, you see receivers lose a step, and it's like they go from, we'll pay you anything to play to like we're cutting you.
Yeah, it's pretty damn harsh.
It's brutal.
I know it
is so brutal.
Which is why I guess, you need to strike it. But that's why I will never give an athlete grief for trying to get his or her own in a contract. Just go ahead and get whatever the hell you want, whatever the hell you think you can. But I think they're going to stick with Foles on the team. The minute that Wentz is ready to go, they're going to stick him out there and,
see what they can get.
Yeah.
They should be able to get a first.
Well, who
first round draft
the defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles
is,
right?
Jim Schwartz.
Is it true you played football with
I played football with Jim Schwartz. And
at Georgetown University?
At Georgetown University. I was a lineman. He was a defensive back. I mean, he's not that big of a guy.
By the way, look at you with that neck roll.
Look
we're
at
showing it. Like, look at that old neck roll
back,
right there.
I was Greg Olson for college.
Yes, you are.
What happened? Look at the before and after. Because that was like when I was sitting there thinking of like walking out on the ESPYs, because there's just no one knows who I am.
That's not true.
So
Jim
I was
Gaffigan.
I was walking out there, and I was like I was either going to do like the thing about the curling guys, or I was going to be like, this is what Greg Olson will look like after.
This is your future, Greg Olson. You're staring into the future.
Look at that toilet, the padding thing.
Yeah, I know.
That was the thing.
So you played with Jim Schwartz?
I played with Jim Schwartz. And by the way, the Jim Schwartz and I were both, people thought we had pie in the sky ideas.
What do you mean?
Like he wanted to be a coach, and I wanted, like, I don't think, like in college, if he said, I would like to be a professional football coach, people would laugh at him. And if I said I wanted to be a comedian, people would have laughed at me. It's unrealistic. So there's a bonding there, and I've run into him a couple times. I think we actually kind of vacation near each other too. But I have no life. And then also, by the way, no life. It's like these NFL coaches.
Oh yeah, I know.
I mean, it's insane.
It is insane.
It's insane.
They're about to come off vacation, and then
For 10 months.
For 10 months.
Yes.
Yes, sir. That is fact. That is fact.
They love it. And they sleep, breathe, study.
Well, comedians' lives
moment.
aren't frequently very glamorous because you're constantly working your ass off too.
Yeah, but some of it is I have to concentrate on peaking at 9 o'clock at night. So like one of my assignments for the day is to nap. That's a little different from like developing a defensive scheme against the latest surprise offense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or figuring it out at halftime because it didn't work the first half.
Well, they also have to peak at 9 o'clock at night too, I guess, on Monday Night Football.
And then they have to do that London game. People have to do the London game.
They have to do the London game.
That just seems like brutal. Like the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're like, can we just get rid of that? Because then
Hey, they go over there. I joke all the time. Blake Bortles at quarterback. He's like the Jerry Lewis of football, and the
He's
fact
huge,
that a
yeah.
European team
Yeah.
thinks that the European audience thinks that he's the greatest of all time.
It
He
was-
goes over there. He balls out when he goes to London. Blake Bortles.
You know, it was interesting. I was in Ireland. It is so fascinating how Gaelic rules football, how huge it is in Ireland. Like that's like I always thought soccer would be the huge sport in all countries, but like Gaelic rules football.
What is Gaelic rules football?
It is similar to Australian rules football. It's GAA, but it depends on the county in Ireland, but that's bigger than soccer in Ireland. It's like they have GAA, they have rugby, and then they have soccer, and yet they've still gotten teams in the World Cup.
Gaelic rules football.
Yeah,
I've never.
and
heard
then
of
they
something
have
like that.
hurling and drinking.
It's all this, and then drinking and hurling, pretty much. So Hotel Transylvania 3, number
Yes.
one movie in America,
That was very cool. Yeah, and I play Van Helsing.
which is not good for
Play a bad guy.
Dracula. Yeah.
Not good for Dracula, but I got to bring my kids to see me. It's the first time my 5-year-old's ever been impressed because they don't know what I do. And so he was like, "That's you? That's your voice?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And he
How
was
cool
like,
is that?
"You're all right." Yeah. It's
Before
fun.
you sucked, now you don't
Yeah,
suck
you're all
anymore,
right.
Dad.
And before you were just some fat guy that ate too much of the pizza, you know?
I call that, in my house, I call that the daddy tax.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what I got. They get so pissed off. Now they start screaming at me, no daddy tax. you
No
know?
daddy text.
Yeah, maybe that'll be the next album for
That'll
you.
be the next album. It's a good album name.
No daddy tax, right?
No daddy text.
Well, we'll talk about it. Hey, congratulations on this, sir.
Thanks so much.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Noble Ape, check it out. And then check out Jim Gaffigan as well in Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. You're welcome here anytime. You work
so
too
much.
much. You got stuff going on.
I live in the wrong city. I'd come back more often.
Where you live in? New York?
I live in New York. And then this happens too early. I'm just exhausted from school's starting. Then I have to go to parent-teacher conferences with 5 kids. It's like, that's
oh
brutal.
My God.
There's one every day.
You can't even keep it straight.
Yeah. It's too much.
Jim Gaffigan here on The Rich Eisen Show. Follow him on Twitter at Jim Gaffigan.
Thank you.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.